A Visit from Little Sven is the 9th episode of the 3rd season of The Golden Girls. This is directed by Terry Hughes, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And to be honest, I liked maybe the first half, but I didn't really care for the second half. I found it to just be very boring. It's not necessarily that I didn't like the direction in which it went. It was simply it wasn't interesting. But the first half was not too bad. Starts off with Sophia saying that she wants to learn to drive again. I will very briefly summarize this part of the narrative, and then I'll talk about the main narrative chronologically. Sophia ends up getting her license. It's fine, it's padding. It was a way to include Sophia in the episode. It's maybe not the most interesting, but I don't have any issues with it. The main narrative focuses on the fact that Sven, Rose's relative, is coming to stay, and he's having an arranged marriage, and Rose gets a cake, and it turns out the cake is from an erotic bakery. She didn't realise. Dorothy's reaction when she opened the cake was fantastic, and it's very clear that it's a male organ. And Rose commented that she thought it was of Florida. It was the shape of Florida. And I googled that, the shape of Florida, and yeah, I could kind of see, I guess, how she might come to that conclusion. And Sven then arrives. He's played by Casey Sander. And Rose finds out that unfortunately she has to go to work. So Blanche agrees to take Sven sightseeing to keep him company. And Blanche is partly agreeing to this because she's supposed to be going on a date with Floyd, who keeps cancelling on her. So she agrees to take Sven out, and they're in a restaurant, and Floyd happens to come in with a woman. And Sven replies to Blanche. Blanche comments that the woman is half his age, and Sven replies, she's half your age. Blanche's reaction, brilliant. And Blanche tries to pretend that Sven is her young, hot lover, and when Floyd sees her, she starts to stroke Sven's hair, which was inappropriate enough, and then she's sticking her fingers in his mouth, pretending to feed him, and it was awkward, but it was quite funny. I quite liked it. I thought it was not too bad. And then they're all in the front room again, and they're talking about the arranged marriage, and Sven says that he can't go ahead with the arranged marriage because he's in love with Blanche. And Blanche kind of turns, and her facial expression was just fantastic. And honestly, that's the last enjoyable thing about the episode. Everything else was just very, very boring. The girls have a discussion, and then Blanche goes and talks with Sven, and then his bride, Olga, arrives, and off Sven and Olga go, and that's basically it. We end with a comment about Rose missing the boat, and that's it. So I feel like the second half, maybe the final third, somewhere in between there, was just really dry, really boring, not funny at all. I didn't dislike the direction it took. As I said, I don't mind what was actually happening. I just found it to be very boring. So up until Sven saying I'm in love with Blanche, Blanche turning, up until then, pretty good. After that, really, really boring. I also don't particularly like Sven as a character. I don't dislike him, but I didn't find him interesting. So needless to say, this is not my favourite episode of The Golden Girls, but there are some decent moments, highlights, probably the restaurant scene, actually. I think that was pretty good. And the cake in the shape, or not in the shape, I guess, of Florida. A Visit from Little Sven, maybe not the best episode, but there were some okay moments.